Hi, welcome to Learning Monkey. I'm Vikram. In this class, we'll try to solve layout challenge 3. So in this challenge, we are trying to create interactive buttons with shadows and click effects. In our previous challenge, layout challenge 2, we have discussed the designing of a basic button. But what we are going to do in this challenge is we are going to add interactivity to that button. So let's try to understand this concept by using an example. Let's go on to our Visual Studio Code. Here is the outcome of our challenge. So in this challenge, we are going to create this interactive button. So how it is different from the previous challenge is, so in the previous challenge, we have created this kind of basic buttons, but we haven't added any shadows like this. And whenever we hover onto this, so the color is changing, and there is another effect. Whenever we click on this, whenever the button is active, whenever we click on this, we are going to create an effect of going down. So we are trying to create a real world style button effect. So that effect we are going to get. Once I remove that active, we are going to get back to the normal state. So that effect of creating pressing a real world button. So that effect of pressing a real world button we are going to create in this class. And let's go on to our Visual Studio Code. So initially I've taken a simple button and named it as primary button, and I've taken the styles in the style sheet. So let's see the output first for this sample example. So this is our button initially. Now I will make this button into that interactive kind of button. So initially there are no effects. These are very primary effects that we are going to get by using a button element. So let's style this. Go on to the styles.css, and here I have taken two colors for reference. One is for background color and one is for whenever we hover onto the button, we are going to get the background color as this color. Okay, let's start our class selector, and it is interactive. Let's see the class. The class of the button is interactive button, and just paste it. So I want the background color. So here the background color is there. First we'll start with background color. Okay, let's see the output, how it will look like. So this is how the background color is looking like, but I don't want these borders and all of that. And the color of text, let's see the text. The color of text is white in color. So let's make the color of text as white in color. So here color is equal to $, we can make it as all F's for white color. So we are going to get the text of the color as white color. But I don't want any borders. So for that, what we have to do, we know that it is border is equal to none. So let's see the output. So how it will look like. So whether we are going to remove that border or not, all of that. See here, the border is gone, and the text color has been changed to white color. What are the other properties? So we will try to add padding. So how it is looking like, it is having more padding onto the left and right, and less padding on top and bottom. So how to create that effect? It is a two value padding, shorthand padding. So let's make it as 10 pixels and the other one is 20 pixels. So let's see the output. So see here, so the same as this button and this button are same, but there are borders for this. See, this button is having borders. So we'll try to create a border radius of 5 pixels. Border radius of 5 pixels. Let's see the output. See here, a border radius has been created of 5 pixels. So what are the other properties? So let's see this. If I go on to this, so I'm getting, see this property we haven't discussed it so far. So whenever the pointer is outside the button, we are getting that arrow mark. But if I go on to this button, I am getting the cursor. The cursor is getting changed to that hand mark. So this is what we call it as pointer. So how to make that? So how to make that is, So there is a property called cursor. So this we haven't discussed it so far, and the value for that is pointer. So there are different values possible. We'll discuss about those different values whenever the context comes. So let's see the output. So whether we are getting that effect of cursor or not. So whenever I move on to this, so I'm getting that effect of cursor. Okay. So what are all the designs that we can create more? So here there is a box shadow. So there is a light shadow down to it. So it is creating that effect. So let's create that shadow, and how that shadow is, try to understand. We'll try to understand. The shadow is at the bottom, but it is not there onto the right of it. So in order to create right and bottom shadow, what we have to do? So we have discussed about box shadows, right? So let's start our box shadow. Box shadow, recap those concepts. So I don't want any right shadow. So for that I am making it as 0. But I want bottom shadow. So bottom shadow, let's make it as 4 pixels. So let's see the output, and the color of the shadow, what we will do is, we will make a white color, dark black color shadow, RGBA, and we will make this one. And as of now, for understanding, I made it as 0.5. We'll change that. We'll see the output and we'll see how the output is getting generated. So there is a shadow, and we have that bottom shadow, and we don't want this right shadow. For that we have kept it as 0, and we have added this color. So this is the color that I want, but I want this color to be more opacity, means more so it should be very transparent. So for that what we have to do, this opacity we will change it to 2, and we'll try to add some blur radius to the box shadow. So what is, let's make this blur shadow, blurring this shadow to 6 pixels. So the third parameter is blur radius, right? So let's see the output. See here, this is how the effect is getting created beautifully. It's got created very beautifully. So that blurring is going to get that shadow effect. Try to understand, these designing concepts are very important if you want to create great designs. Okay, so that blurriness is bringing that effect of some 3D effect. See, the same is here also, here and here. Okay, so this is how we are going to get that blurry shadow, and the color is also same. And there is another property which we haven't discussed it so far. I'll just write down that property called transition. Transition, I'll give the values, 3 values are possible, 0.2s, and so the last one is ease. So what is this transition? So what is this? The use of this transition is, whenever there is a change in these properties, whenever there is a change in state, so if that change in state is trying to bring any changes in any one of these properties, try to understand this. Whenever there is a change in state, if in the process of changing the state, if there is any property which is changing these values, the properties of these values, then I want the transition, the change in state to be very easy, very smooth. I want the transition to be very smoothly done. And for that we are having a property called transition, and I want all, means all of the above properties. If any of the all of these properties, try to understand this, if any of the all of these properties is changing, and I want the transition to happen in 0.2 seconds, and I want that transition effect to be very smooth. For that smooth effect we have a value called ease, and there are different values possible, and this is advanced CSS concept. We will try to, this is the very basic, we are in the introductory section of CSS. As and when we go on to the advanced section, there we will discuss all these properties. Okay, so at this point of time we will try to have the basic introduction to these advanced concepts. So any of these all effects, if they are changing, I want the transition, the change in style. Transition means change in styles to be done in 0.2 seconds, and it has to be done very easy with a very smooth effect. So that is what the transition property is. So with this, the basic styling of interactive button is done. Now we will go on to the change in state pseudo properties, pseudo classes. So what are those classes? Hover, active. So the class is interactive button. So on this interactive button, on hover, so we have discussed about these pseudo classes, right? So on hover, I want background color to be, so this is the background color that I want. Okay, so this is the background color I want. So hope you are understanding. Okay, so let's see the output. So whenever I just go on to this, I want this kind of transition. So the color is getting transmitted, the color is getting changed from some light color to dark color. But I want, so we'll see the effect of transition. What I will do is I'll just make this color as red for understanding transition better, and I'll make this transition time to 3 seconds. We'll see the output. So how we will see, we will easily understand the effect of transition. So whenever I keep on this, see, it is taking 3 seconds for the transition. Previously I have given 0.2 seconds for quick effect. So this is how the transition works. Okay, so let's change that. Okay, so I want a background color to be this color, and this to be, go back to our 0.2. Okay, so let's see the output, and this is how the transition is done. But if you check this, so the color of background, so this box shadow is changing. See the output. The box shadow, on clicking on this, going on to this, the box shadow is getting changed, right? So let's go on to our box shadow. So we'll create, on hover, we will create a box shadow. So with, I don't want to, here we are not getting any left right shadow, right? So there is no right shadow. We are having only the shadow at the bottom. So let's create that effect. So here, and so the pixel to be 1 pixel, and we will make that, so we are trying to make it more effective, right? So we'll make it 4 pixels, and RGB. So this is the value, RGBA. I want to be the same black color, but what I will do is I'll change the opacity. I'll change the opacity from 0.5 to, we'll make it as 0.9, so that the dark color we are going to get. Let's see the output so that you can get the clear idea. So whenever, see here, we are going to get the dark effect. So the change in dark effect in the shadow also is creating that effect of, we are on the button, hovering the button. So we haven't created any activity. So active, whenever the button is active, we haven't created this effect. So let's try to create that another change in state. It is another class, pseudo class we are going to take, interactive button, just take it, and the pseudo class is active. So whenever the pseudo class is active, now I want to use a new property called transform. This is also very advanced property. So what is the use of transform? The use of transform, there are multiple functions that are applicable on this transform, and it is very advanced concept. So we are going to use scale. So what is the use of transform? First, we'll try to understand the use of transform. The use of transform is to change the coordinates of the element. So the coordinates upon which that element is existing, so those coordinates will get changed. So out of all those possibilities in change of coordinates, One of the possibility is scaling the element. Scaling the means resizing the element, whether you want to increase it or decrease it. So that function is provided by using the scale value for the transform property. Transforming means changing the coordinates of the elements. So in the process of changing, one of the property is scale. Scaling means change in the size of the element. So what I am trying to make it is, I am trying to make it smaller. Whenever we hover and we click on it, we are going to create a smaller element. So change in scale, I'll make it as 0.95. Okay, 0.95 I'll make it, just see the output, how it will look like. So on hover is this effect. If I click on it, see 0.95, one is 100%, 0.95 means it is going to go down, it is shrinking in its size. 0.95, try to understand this. So how we are getting those effects, that you need to understand. If I make it as 2, if I make it as 2 means, what does that mean? Double the size of existing style. Means change the coordinates of that element. Try to understand this. Okay, so whenever active, so it is doubling the size. But it looks very awkward, right? So let's make it as 0.9 is also good. 0.9. Let's go on to the output and see the output first. See, this is how it is looking. So that pressing effect we are going to get by using that transform property. The next one is, we'll make little the opacity. So see here, the color of this, we are going to make it more transparent. So this opacity is going to create that effect of pressing. Okay. So let's go on to our styles. And opacity, we will make it as 0.7. Let's see, and we will test it. We'll take those random colors. So whenever we click on this, okay, this is looking good, right? So the opacity is 0.7. And also the shadow, let's see the shadow also. So the shadow is also changing. It is becoming very light, right? So we'll change that shadow also. So for that we are having box shadow. Box shadow, and I want this box shadow. There is no right shadow in all the cases. I'll make it as 1 pixel at the bottom, and we'll change this radius. So means blur radius. So with the change in blur radius, we will get that change in shadow effect. And RGBA will make the same. We'll use the same color. Just copy pasting it. Just pasting it. See here. So let's see the output. So this is our final output. Clicking on this, we are going to get that effect of lowering that button, and there is a change in blurriness also. So there is a change in shadow also. Try to understand this. See, this is what the interactive buttons means. Hope you got the clarity on this concept. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon for the latest updates. If you have any doubts regarding this concept, please post your doubt in the comment section below. If you feel that this video is helpful to you, please give us a like, and please share this video with your friends so that they will also get benefited. Thanks for watching.